Yada. Welcome to Watdastreetzsay podcast. We in the building. How you feeling, Meech?
Man, I'm feeling good. I'm living and loving it.
We back again, straight from Kansas City, Missouri, 35th and Prospect. Man, it was crazy out here yesterday, though.
I heard.
Yeah, man, they was acting a fool. The little young cats, boy, was getting busy as usual.
Yeah.
Right over there in the gas station, the parking lot or something. Yeah, they got the shooting and shit, man. Boy, and they young guys, man. That's why I was trying to send out a little text message the other day on Facebook. I wasn't really pointing the finger at the ladies because I was on there. I said mothers and fathers, but I started off with, boy, y'all ladies need to stop jeffing with these niggas and all the niggas' faces trying to jump in and out of drug dealer cars and shit and pay more attention to your sons. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The reason why I was doing that, I was saying the ladies, is because the way I was raised and the majority of all my rude boy partners from school, nigga, we was raised by a mama. My daddy, I don't know where my daddy was at. We don't know where our daddies was. We didn't have daddies. We was raised by our mother. So that's why I was saying, boy, y'all women need to stop letting these niggas run in and out y'all house and ask your son why his little ass running in and out the house. See what he on, you know what I'm saying? And most of us, we live with our mothers.
Well,
Either the fathers was dead, they was in jail, they was drug heads and didn't come around, or they married another woman and wasn't claiming us or some shit. We didn't have fathers, so that was the reason I was saying I was stressing more of the women, you know. But if the fathers are in them kids' life, yeah, you niggas too. Y'all need to sit down and talk to them little niggas, man. See what's on their mind. Develop a friendship with your son. Maybe he'll tell you something. If you don't holler at him, he might open up. You always hollering, that nigga ain't gonna tell you nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, maybe you can stop him one day before he go outside and hit some shit, boy. Because they not playing. They got switches and they walk in that gas station with clips this long, boy. It's not in their pocket, Meech. It's some shit hanging way out here when they walk in.
Yeah, a lot of them don't have no idea that, you know, that thing that you thinking that you about to go do destruction with,
yeah,
you're going to be the one that the hole is getting dug for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And most of the cases, when we got to bury one of these children, they dug their own hole. The Bible tells you, he that dig a pit shall be the one to fall in it. And you got this mindset like you about to go do something to somebody else. And in the midst of you on your way to do something to somebody else, you get done.
Yeah.
See, whatever the pit was that got dug, it was for you. You know what I'm saying? And so, when you talk about the sisters, it's not a matter of being hard on the sisters. What's right is right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the evidence that many of the brothers and sisters have been raised by their mothers and turned out to be all right, just that all by itself shows you that it can be done.
Yeah, it can be done.
Even in the absence of a man, depending on certain circumstances. You know what I'm saying? So if you take some of the sisters whose men have been worthless and walked off away from them, those sisters generally are the type of mothers that are able to muster up the courage and the strength that they need to put their energy into steering their child in the right direction. But you have another group of sisters that they want to be beneficiaries of things like child support. They have some that have a rebellious mindset or mentality that they don't want no man around giving them no instruction. So you got different type of women, but at the end of the day, they have to learn to assume the accountability.
Yes, sir.
Now, if we go to the scripture, and you pull up Isaiah 3rd chapter in the 12th verse, see, because a lot of time when men start speaking, this is how far away the women done got. They think like it's a man just talking about them. No, I'm doing my job. Because God told me to have dominion over everything. He told me to rule over everything. Told me to multiply and reproduce in the earth, and I do that. You to help me do that. You know what I mean? Producing children. But at the end of the day, he said, I'm the one that's supposed to subdue everything, and I'm also the one that's supposed to replenish it with righteous instruction. So I'm doing my job when I try to instruct you in a way that's going to be good. But if you're rebelling against that, 9 out of 10 times you're going to raise a monster or a whore. And in this particular hour, we have a lot of monsters being raised.
Yes.
And a lot of whores being raised. Did you pull that scripture up?
Oh, what you want?
Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12. And this is for any sisters that think that a brother being hard on them or they ain't looking at the man. Yeah, we're going to look at the man too. The man being castrated. Because unless you come back to the place to where you're supposed to be as a sister and understand that God created that man to give leadership to the house, to the wife first, and then she funnels that down to the children. Unless you come back to that mindset, you'll be living your life in this world as a single mother, and you don't have the credentials that it takes to make those children productive in the way that God means for them to be productive in. Now, as far as it being a woman and a man's fault, yeah, it's both of your fault, because God told you shouldn't be fornicating anyway. He telling you if you hooking yourself up in unlawful beds, you're going to produce an ungodly brood of children that will not stand. Eventually, they'll be cut off and driven away with the wind. That's the wisdom of Solomon.
Isaiah 3, chapter 12.
Read it.
As for my people.
As for my people, now God got a specific group on the people, and this is the way that one of the ways that you're going to know who his people are, because all the people on the earth ain't conducting themselves in this manner. So you'll with pinpoint accuracy be able to understand who the children of Israel is in this world that you're living in based on what his people are doing. What are they doing?
As for my people, children are their oppressors. Children are their oppressors, and women rule over them.
Say what?
And women rule over them.
So when you want to understand why the children are our oppressors, then God tell you it's because women are ruling over them. I never meant for a woman to rule over anything. I meant for the man to rule over the woman and the children in righteousness. You see? And so this is where we at. So oftentimes, and we're not negating the fact that we got some grimy men out here. But if you ever want to see a grimy man pull his act together, you let him come in contact with a woman that's trying to live her life like God instruct her to. First thing is that she ain't gonna allow any man to come near her.
Right.
So she'll be able to say, I'm fearfully marvelous made. I'm created in God's image. You better miss me with that stuff. I'm too much woman for you to be walking around with your pants down. I'm too much woman to be getting trapped up while you selling dope. I'm too much woman to be having babies by you, knowing that you ought to be dead or in the penitentiary because of the choices that you make. Unless you change your ways, we can't have nothing to do with each other. See, a woman can cause a no-good man to become everything he's supposed to be because that's the natural role that she played. That's what God created her for. I created you a helpmeet. She's going to help a man be everything that I mean for him to be.
Come on.
But her power don't come in her gifting. Her power comes in her ability to fall back and have a submissive spirit toward God and have the necessary support that it takes to change that man from where he's at to where he needs to be. And she shows a portrait of strength by not allowing herself to accept anything that comes from any man.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So everybody have a role to play, but when it comes to our sisters, they have a greater role to play because of the purpose that they were created. And so you're going to help a man be what he's supposed to be, whether you're doing him good or whether you're doing him bad. If you're treating him good and he's doing bad, eventually he wants to change his life because he's tired of breaking your heart.
Right.
And if you're treating him bad, eventually he's going to change his life because he's tired of the way that you mistreating him like he ain't nobody, and he's going to go out there and he's going to prove to you and himself that he can be somebody. And at the end of the day, whether you was treating him good or bad, you still fell into the role that God created you for. You helped him get from one place to the next.
And it said, we're not finished with the verse. It says, O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err. and destroy the way of the past.
They that lead you. So you got different people that's leading. You got your civil leaders. You got your religious leaders. You got your political leaders, and all of them leading you in areas to destroy your path. So what God is saying is that you need to be coming back to my righteous instruction. He said, unto us the son is born, and to us the child is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. So when we start looking for governing our lives, we have to be up under the government of the one that God put in control. Anybody that comes up under Yahshua's government, he's going to have an outstanding life.
Yeah.
Because of the instruction that he's getting, you know. But in our case, the women are leading, you know. Because most of our sisters that have things going on, they gravitate toward men that ain't got nothing going on, so that the men can never occupy their position of leadership.
Right.
You see? And so ultimately, they that lead you are going to destroy the paths of our way.
Let me read something to you too, because we just got through talking about the violence and the YGs, how wild the little YNs are out here, little young niggas, what they doing, and they been led by the women. The women is raising them. Let's see check this out. Just think about this verse. And we was just talking about the violence on the streets with the young cats and all of that. So check this out. The unnatural eating of flesh meat is as polluting as the heathen worshiping of idols. It darkens the understanding, stirs the lust, and leads to injustice and violence. He said, what we eat becomes what we are.
Okay, so you asked me what I think about it. Well, I'm not going to think about it, because a lot of times when we start talking in this way, in this manner, people just automatically assume that you're just talking based on your opinion or what you think. Well, you know, what's good for you ain't good for me. You know what I mean? So they don't know that the things I'm saying are scriptural. So you asking me what I think about that consumption and it bringing violence. I'm going to give you what the Messiah has to say about it.
Break it out then.
This is going to be the Gospel of the Holy 12, Lection 75, beginning at verse 8. And Yahshua answered and said, if I'm lifted up on the cross, indeed shall a lamb be slain. But woe unto him by whom it is delivered into the hands of the slayers. It were better for him if he had not been born. For verily I say unto you, for this end have I come into the world, that I may put away all blood offerings, and the eating of the flesh of the beasts and of the birds that are slain by men's hand. Verse 10, in the beginning God gave to all the fruits of the trees and the seeds and the herbs for food. But those who love themselves more than God or their fellows corrupted their ways and brought diseases into their bodies, and they filled the earth with lust and violence. So he said, not by shedding blood, because they was up under the law of animal sacrifice.
Yeah.
He said, but living a righteous life is how you gonna know. You see, the first commandment is thou shalt not kill.
Yeah.
And you'll understand, according to this same book right here, that the animals are our sisters and our brothers.
Right.
Have you ever heard that?
Yes, sir.
I can prove it to you. Pull up, if we went to Jubilee's 3rd chapter, it tells you how when Adam and Eve fell into sin, and on the day they left the garden, it tells you that God closed the mouth of all of the animals. You see, the animals were created, and animals right now are far more noble than people, because they have the ability to speak in multiple languages to multiple people.
Yeah.
No matter what part of the country you come from, all over this world, when you look in the animal's eyes, he can communicate with you.
Sure can.
And he can communicate with you, and you can leave, and a Chinese man with a different speech, and he can communicate with him. You see, the animals were far more nobler than we are. You understand what I'm saying? Let me show you something else that's cold. Any parent can identify with this. Who taught your children their ABCs? And who taught your children when they was little kids? You didn't. You know what taught them? Foghorn Leghorn, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Ronald McDonald and his farm with all the animals. There was the animals that was teaching the little children to learn the first thing that they knew through cartoons. All cartoons are made of animals that are giving the little children instruction. So even the very things that your children come up knowing, you understand what I'm saying? These are a whole lot of things that our minds ain't never thought about because our eyes have been darkened. When we get the animal's flesh out of us, there is a whole nother side of life that we ain't never seen before because we got blood in us. You understand?
And what you just said, to reiterate on what he said, it's also in Genesis.
Yeah.
Verse 1, chapter 29. I have given you every herb-bearing seed to you. It should be for me.
Oh, but guess what? Read the next verse. No, read the verse before that.
What ain't in the Bible is just a...
Oh, okay, okay. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
He told the beasts of the earth after he told man, I've given you every green tree in the which is a seed that brings forth more fruit and trees. It shall be meat to you. Right after that, he told the animals, he said, unto you beasts, you fowls, and everything that creeps on the ground, I have given you every green herb, and it shall be to you for meat. So how can the animal be meat when God gave him meat to eat? You see, Satan had to put a lie in there, and somewhere along the line, he changed the truth into a lie. Because animals' flesh is just no different than humans' flesh. The life is in the blood of both creatures. We were both composed of the same thing. You know what I mean? Right. And we both spoke language that could communicate with each other. But it's like, man, the animals were given meat and you were given meat. How did the animals become meat? God never called them meat.
Right.
He called them flesh and blood.
Right.
So the whole answer to what you're saying is that the Messiah shows you how the earth got filled with lust and violence.
Right.
That's because man's inability to control his appetite, beginning with the thing that he eat. Now, you got some Christians that'll jump up there and try to quote a passage from the Messiah. Well, you know, the Bible says that it's not the things that go into your mouth that make you unclean. For everything that go into your mouth, go through your digestive tract and then come out in the draught. But the things that come from the heart, that proceed out of the mouth is what, okay, well, here's the thing.
Right.
I said, well, here's how you got to look at that. You know, look at what you're putting in. Look at what's coming out. Because if in your heart you've been exposed to what God already told you was good, and then you go and do it and put it in your mouth, then guess what? Your heart is evil. Because your heart made you go directly against what God had already said. And people come talking about, well, you know, the Levitical law in the 10th chapter, it tells you that you can eat this. Well, you know, the Levitical law came as a result of man already falling into sin.
Yeah.
So you can never apply Levitical law to what God did in the beginning. If we had only walked in by what God told us, there would be no Levitical law.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
So God's original plan never included bloodshed. That from the garden to the kingdom, the table was meant to be clean, peaceful, and alive. Yep, and we live in a world fed by death, fast food, blood in the streets, violence on every channel. We consume destruction, and we wonder why peace can't sit in our hearts.
There's no way possible for it. Because we have entered into a place of darkness by what we are consumed.
So what we chew is shaping who we become.
Exactly. It's like this passage right here. In the let me pull this up. This passage right here in the Gospel of Barnabas. Okay, now listen at this. It says, whom they may plunder in covetousness, and also those birds alone do not procure food for themselves, but by labor. Let's see. Thou shalt not eat, he says, the Smyrna, nor the polypus, nor the cuttlefish. They should not eat them. Thou shalt not, he means, be like such men as are ungodly to the end and already condemned to death, as those little fish which alone are cursed, which swim in the deep, not diving about like the rest, but which dwell in the earth below the deep. Moreover, thou shalt not eat the hare or the rabbit. Wherefore thou shalt not be a corrupter of boys, nor be like to such. So you're getting the characteristics of why you shouldn't be eating a hare. Because a hare, you know, pedophilia, where you become a corrupter of children.
Yeah.
Thou shalt, okay, so it says, because the hare year by year enlarges its place of discharge for as many years as it lives, so it has it. Moreover, thou shalt not eat the hyena. Thou shalt not be his means an adulterer, nor a corrupter, nor be like unto such. Wherefore, because the animal changes its nature every year, and one time is one make, and another time is a female. Moreover, he properly hated the weasel. That thou shalt not. He means be such as one of those whom we hear committing wickedness in the body for uncleanliness. They licking booties and all that stuff.
That.
It says, nor shalt thou join thyself to a woman who commit wickedness by the mouth and by uncleanliness. For this animal conceiveth in the mouth. Have you ever heard that? An animal that gets pregnant through the mouth. And man, you're talking about, man, who had fallen in love with oral sex and getting some head and all of that? You know what I mean? Well, you know what? He said, thou shalt not be as the weasel. It's a wicked creature. And because of these things and the consumption of this animal's flesh, we have lost our way, and we have taken on the characteristics of all of these animals because we have their blood inside of us.
Right.
Let's thought I'd bring that up and throw that in there.
And that's the violence and all that comes from
Yep.
consumption of this animal flesh.
That's where it comes from. Yep.
Paul speaks on avoiding meat if it can cause others to stumble spiritually. And you notice they keep saying that how meat can mess with you spiritually.
Yeah.
Man, people don't even know this.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is that, see, here's the thing. You see, even the people that's writing the books cannot give people the proper understanding because of the improper use of terminology.
Yeah.
It says Paul talks about how not the consumption of meat. Well, you know what? The terminology itself needs to be changed. Because if Paul's telling people against the consumption of eating meat, then that means you're going directly against what God called meat. So we have to get our terminology right first.
Right.
Paul trying to instruct people in the consumption of eating animals' flesh per people that don't. You know what I'm saying? But Paul never would come out there and put a blanket over the people that he was dealing with about the consumption of eating meat as a sin against God. And so that all by itself becomes a stumbling block, and that's one of the many things that the brothers and sisters in Christianity try to pull out Paul's letters to fight against that. When we start talking about what God said in the beginning, who's the greatest, God or Paul?
Right.
If God said this is what He giving you as meat, every herb-bearing seed, the trees and the seeds, what can Paul say?
That's what I tell people when they start telling me, well, he say this animal is clean, this animal clean. I said, a man had a dream. What he say about the man that had dreams?
If the animals are so clean, then why are you eating them? You see? Remember what we read last week? He that killeth the ox is
like
no different than one that kill a man. And he that slaughter a lamb is like one that cuts a dog's neck off. You see, there ain't no difference because we are both created out of the same thing. If animals were going to be a food source for men, don't you think God would have created man first and then brought him his food source? No, He created the animals first, and then He created mankind, and then He brought both of us at the same time our food source, and He called it meat. So nothing dead, nothing that once had life and is now dead could ever be classified as meat. Unless you're being deceived by Satan.
Yeah, and it's dead. It's not alive.
Because the only thing that can be classified as meat is things that grow. Now listen, man, I got a plant in my window. I told my wife about 2 weeks ago, it was baffling me, but every morning I get up, because my wife leaves so early, but every morning I get up and I open up the shades. But I got to walk past this plant to get to the other side to open it. And every time I walk past this plant, I get wet because there's water dripping off of it. So I told my wife, I said, well, wouldn't you spray that plant this morning or something? No, that plant produces water. Every morning, it's water on the leaves waiting on me to walk by so it can remind me that it's living.
Yeah, it's living.
And that's why God says you can take that plant right there and you can take off one of the leaves and you can eat that leaf because he said that's meat for you. And this is why all of the things, when people get the hospital report and have to go to the doctor, the first thing the doctor tells them is change their diet.
On everything, bro, that's the first thing they ask you, change your
But
diet.
he can't tell you to stop eating animals' flesh because that will reverse your illness. He'll take some things away from you and make you think that this is going to make you better.
Yeah, real little. They ain't going to give you no steak or nothing, a little bitty chicken breast and all that, mostly vegetables and everything, living food. That's why I try to explain to people about living food, what we eat, our fruits and our vegetables. They're alive when we eat it. It's never been dead. Once they die, we can smell the cabbage. It's bad. Oh, the apple is dead now. We don't eat it when it's dead.
Yeah.
We eat nothing
Well,
dead.
see, yeah, and see, it don't die, but it don't never die. Because it's always in the process of growing. It's growing off the tree to the fullness of ripeness. Then when it come off the tree, it's still growing.
You leave that lettuce in your icebox too long, let me see you.
Hey, but you know what? When it go back in the door, watch what happened to it. Watch what happened to it. See, if you throw a piece of meat out there, anyway, it's just gonna stick.
Maggots.
Flies and maggots gonna eat it up. But see, that living food, it's going back into the ground. It's gonna morph its way right back into the ground. Ain't no flies gonna eat it. Ain't no maggots gonna eat it.
Right.
It's gonna morph its way. It's gonna keep growing until it grow right back into the same ground it came from.
Remember the story of Daniel?
Yep.
He did the challenge with the king. He told them we're going to drink water, eat vegetables. And they came out way mightier than other men. The men that was eating the meat.
Way more healthier.
He didn't eat this, so I'm going to deny that meat. And if your men come out healthier than us, we'll bow down and do this and do that. We'll build this whole thing for y'all. But if they don't, y'all going to chill out.
And they seen it, and that's what got them through in the fiery furnace, or not the fiery furnace, but that's what got them through in the lion's den, because when they seen that, they went and tried to do some slick stuff and put it in a decree about doing these things.
Yeah.
And Daniel's like, you know what? I can't do it. And the king couldn't rescue him because whatever they put in the decree had to be carried out.
Right.
But he was the first one down there to the lion's den the next day.
Right. What?
And to see Daniel just laying out on the lion, you know what I mean?
Chilling.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's, I'm talking about diabetes, heart, high blood pressure, hypertension, obesity. Everything we can name on every sickness is going to lead to the eating and the consumption of death.
Yeah.
Eating animals' flesh. You lost spiritually. You start becoming this animal. The violence kick in more. Your knowledge is just stopped. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like your soul just leave you.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't even realize that because they have never been exposed to the light of that truth. They've never had the opportunity to respond to it. You'll get the opportunity to respond to it or to reject it. But there'll be thousands and thousands and thousands upon thousands of people that have responded. Look at all of your animal rights activists. Most of these are European people, you know what I mean? Look at your veterinarians and your animal rights activists, and look at your vegans and all of these people. All of these people have had open eyes Some of them ain't never even set foot in the church. Some of them don't have religious backgrounds. You understand what I'm saying? But they operate in purity righteousness because they understand that there's something terribly wrong with this particular thing. Look at what's happening. You got, if you looked at all of the people in the city that have ice boxes or refrigerators that got dead animals in it. If you look at all of the restaurants that got feed dead animals, when you look at all of the grocery stores in the city, and all of them got this same thing, do you really think it's that many animals on the planet?
Never that. You know, and that you didn't even bring up how many hamburgers McDonald's sell a day. Worldwide. Come on, man.
Well, they don't understand that.
They not just eating no animal. They don't know what the hell you eating.
And they don't understand is that the Bible said because of your disobedience that you shall devour your own children. You shall eat your mother and your father. It's now up until this hour right here to where a lot of funeral homes are being busted because the bodies have not been going into the ground but to slaughterhouses. It's amazing, man. And you try to tell this world. Well, Rabbi Finkelstein came on there about 10 years ago through a video that we were sharing, John 8:44, where he made public. He said, well, yeah, he said, well, we made, he said, we kidnapped 200,000 to 300,000 babies in this country every year. He said we drain their blood out and mix with our Passover bread, and then he said we send the bodies to our many slaughterhouses because we're not cannibals. He said, and McDonald's and some of the fast food chains are our best outlets. He said we made the sausage popular at McDonald's for breakfast, and we made the hamburgers popular for dinner. He said, and you come in the morning and you're eating your children, and you come in the evening and you're eating your children. He said, yeah, you can tell people the truth now, and they don't know it.
Right.
They don't believe it.
Because what you said, they keep eating it to do what to you?
It's going to make you sick. It's going to kill you.
And then it's going to make you not able to think.
He that eats dead things is a consumer of death.
Yes, and he said, I don't know what the exact words was, but somebody asked the Messiah about killing animals for money.
Oh,
what
yeah.
Did he say?
That's
I got the reply.
Yeah, that's the gospel of the Holy 12.
Okay, so he asked about the torment of animals, you know what I'm saying, if they should suffer animals to make a profit. So this is what the Messiah said. And Jesus said unto them, he asked Jesus, can I kill an animal to make me some money? And Jesus said,
hold up, there's something right there though, because you got to go back to the very beginning.
You wouldn't send it to me. Remember, I kept
okay. Well,
it kept cutting off.
Let me get that. Let me
see how it's going to stop right there.
Okay, let me get the actual thing. Let me get the actual thing for you. Okay, let me get the actual thing for you, King.
Yeah,
so you can pull it up. That's going to be That's going to be 38.
I just brought up the screenshot, but I got the whole one.
That's going to be 38. Yeah, you did. And I thought I did send it to. Okay, here we go. That's going to be the gospel. Now, listen. Now, pay attention. Pay attention to this first part of it. Because that's going to shoot you back to where it all began. What did it say?
It said, and some of his disciples.
I'm talking about you start at the very beginning. Okay, yeah, you're right.
And some of his disciples came and told him of a certain Egyptian.
Stop right there. See where it come from?
The Egyptians.
When Moses went to get the children of Israel out of Egypt, he said, I noticed it was
one evil thing I couldn't get out of them.
I couldn't get out of them. The sacrificing of animals. So now you're arrived full circle. Here's the Egyptian back again. Some of those Egyptians left with him coming through the wilderness. They were still crying for flesh. So they talking. So he asked him the question. Go ahead.
Yeah, he said, and some of his disciples came and told him of a certain Egyptian, a son of Belial, who taught that it was lawful to torment animals if their suffering brought any profit to man. And Jesus said unto them, verily I say unto you, they who partake of benefits which are gotten by wronging one of God's creatures cannot be righteous.
Cannot be righteous.
Nor can they touch holy things.
Nor can you touch holy things.
Nor teach the mysteries of the
kingdom.
Nor
can you teach the mysteries.
Whose hands are stained with blood. whose mouths are defiled with flesh.
What comes next?
God giveth the grains and the fruits of the earth for food. God giveth the grains and the fruits of the earth for food. And for righteous men, truly there is no other
There ain't no other lawful substance, because God ain't gonna change his mind about what he gave us. He not gonna change his mind. But see, our people don't understand is that one of the reasons why we are in this captivity is because of what our forefathers and our ancestors kept going back to. And we don't understand why we stay in the same condition, because our eyes have never been opened to be able to comprehend who we truly are, because we keep consuming death and our eyes are darkened. But for those who can see and say, you know what, man, I didn't know all that was in the Bible. See, right now, people are going to be backed into a corner when we bring these scriptures out. Oh, that's one thing. You can throw dirt in my face. I ain't going to tell you what to eat. I ain't going to tell you none of that. You can throw dirt in my face. But when I get behind this desk and I start dealing with this scripture, it's not me no more. You're going to get back into a corner because you hear something that's contained in the holy books of the one that you say. And I tell people all the time, especially my church brothers, says, Jesus died for our sin. No, he didn't.
He died because you kept eating meat.
You know, I'm going to tell you who he died for. He died for the innocent animal that you was killing.
Because what he called himself?
The lamb that was slain before the foundation of the world.
Come on, man, the last
He
one.
came to save you from your sin by stopping you from killing him.
Animals, yes. He said, if you kill an animal, you are killing me because I am in that animal. Didn't he say that?
That's what it is,
He said, I'm
man.
in that animal.
That's what it is. He say, these are my brothers and my sisters. He who killeth the ox is no different than them that kill a man. You know, so, you know, what about when he fed the people with the 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread? Did you get that one that I sent you?
No.
I sent it to you. I sent it to you.
I don't remember.
Because I said, well, you know what? If that's the case, you saying that Yahshua, he will go against God, right? He feeds the 5,000. I'm sure I sent it to you. He feeds the 5,000. That'd be a good one to do right there. Let's see. Let me get.
Bring it out then. We got
That'd
time.
be a good one. That'd be a good one to do. Let's see. Let's go get it. Let's go get it. Okay.
You said
Let's
you
go.
about the robber who
Let's
break
go.
into the house.
Okay, here's the one you can do. You can pull up the story in the Bible where he feed 5,000.
Okay.
Because guess what? Whichever one of these stories can line up with what's written in Genesis, first chapter, then that's what you have to deem as being true. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to, when you get there, we're going to go down to, we'll paraphrase the story, and then we'll get right to the main point of what he gave them. So go to the point where he had gave them the 2 fish and the 5 loaves, probably in verse 7, 6, somewhere like that.
7 and 6, you sure I'm already on?
Okay, we'll keep going.
13,
We'll keep going. Well, that's the Bible. Yeah, keep going. Go to the end where you know what he called them to get disciples together and all that. Okay.
Want us to get right to the nitty gritty?
Okay, so you at the nitty gritty where they fed, right? Okay, now
to where they fed.
here's some things that we got to see that where it don't make sense. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It said now. Let's read it a little bit. Just give
Verse 17. We have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, they answered.
Okay.
Bring them here to me, he said. And he directed the people to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and looking up to the heavens. He gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls.
So they had
and
12
broken
baskets
pieces that were left over.
Now,
The number of those who ate was about 5,000 men, besides women and children.
Now, both stories contain this part right here. And the feast of Passover drew near, and the apostles and their fellows gathered themselves together unto Yeshua and told them all things, both what they had done, and what he had taught. And he said unto them, come yourselves, let's depart into this desert place to rest for a while. And they departed into a desert place by ship privately. And the people saw them and departing. Many knew him. Now here's the thing that made me perplexed. He said they departed into a desert place. What happened to a fish if he's in a desert place?
Yeah. They could have him on some ice water.
Did they have ice water back then? Well, it's a desert place. It ain't even no water around no more. You know what I mean? So even if somebody, it wasn't no little kid on the boat to take the two fish out the water, but just hypothetically, they've been out here all day because the disciples said, look, the evening is drawing near. These people been here all day. It's time for them to be fed. Now somebody gonna pull out two fish in a desert place. You ever been fishing? You ain't never been fishing. Man, you can find a fish. You leave that fish out there on that bank out of that water, man, and it's hot outside, man. That thing will be dried out like he just came out of an oven. So that was one thing that didn't make sense to me. Now yours, it says he fed them with two fish, 5 loaves of bread. That's right, right? Listen at this. Verse 6. He said unto them, how many loaves do you have? Go and see. And when they knew, they said, we have 6 loaves and 7 clusters of grapes. And he commanded them to make them sit down. And when they had taken the 6 loaves and the 7 clusters of grapes, he looked up to heaven and blessed them and brake the loaves and the grapes also and gave them to his disciples and set them before them. And they divided them among all that were there. And they did eat and were filled. And they took up 12 baskets full. You see, the story is identical.
Right, so we got 5 over here.
Now, here's what you have to look at. This is why I try to tell my brothers and sisters, because the Messiah is the teacher. You have to be able to look at both of these stories and then see which one of them can line up with what God said in the book of Genesis. Can you throw the fish in there?
Right.
When God already told the fish that they was going to have meat that grew out of the ocean? You see, whatever can line up with what God said in the beginning is what you're going to find as being true. Mm-hmm. Now, in church, we used to hear John the Baptist came wearing camel's hair, eating locusts and wild honey.
Right.
But locust is flesh and blood. Because locust is one of the creeping things that fly. But in this book, the Gospel of the Holy 12, it said, and John the Baptist came with camel's hair, and his food was the food that came from the locust tree. Not a locust. The locust tree. His food was honey.
I was about to say it was honey.
And what came from the locust tree. So I said, man, wait a minute. Y'all been telling people that he been eating locusts? But the Gospel of the Holy 12 says he ate the fruit of the locust tree. So,
reiterate this for me. I was reading this. You sent this to me the other day. I just kept going back to this verse 4. The robber who breaketh into the house made by man is guilty. But they who break it into the house made by God, even of the least of these, are the greater sinners. Mm-hmm. Wherefore I say unto all who desire to be my disciples, keep your hands off bloodshed, and let no flesh meat enter your mouth, for God is just and bountiful, who ordaineth the man shall live by fruit and seeds of the earth alone.
And we become thieves and robbers in his sight because we break into his household and become a destructive force on things that belong to him. It's him that created the animals, you see? So when you take into account of slaughterhouses and grocery stores and farmers and producers of what they call beef and pork and all that, these are thieves and robbers because God created these animals to be in this earth with a purpose. And then we have just took it upon ourselves to reap havoc on something that does not belong to us.
Right.
And he reinforces that so that people can understand with crystal clarity. I'm talking about my animals. I'm talking about my creation. Because it's always going to go back to the killing.
Right.
And you know what? You couldn't eat a hamburger if you had to kill the cow yourself. Because you have to look at him in his eye.
I sure couldn't.
And the cow is looking, and that's why I tell people one of the things that helped me is that every time I wanted to revert, I would see eyes.
He's looking right at you.
I would see eyes, man, because he
know what you great do.
He can't speak. God closed his mouth, and sometimes he crying because his heart is broken.
I watched some shit.
Sometimes he afraid.
I watched some shit messing with you. I threw on YouTube and all that, man. They banned me. That shit had to come off.
You talking about
With the chickens.
Uh-huh.
They knew when they was coming to get them and kill them.
They knew.
They was backing up. They was getting them chickens in that dirty ass slaughterhouse.
They know,
and them
man.
chickens knew what time it was,
They knew,
bro.
man.
I put that up. They took that off the internet.
They knew, man. Yeah, they do.
They knew exactly what was going on. They was backing up like, hell no.
Yeah.
Man, they knew what was going to happen. The
Yeah.
chickens.
They knew, man. And see an animal cry, and then sometimes the animal can be looking at you like, man, what are you doing, man? Wake up. Get yourself together. So you know, in the 8th chapter of Romans, it speaks about that. It said, the creation itself, moaning and groaning and travailing in pain and suffering, waiting on the adoption of the sons of men, to wit, because we have fallen from our place. We were the caretakers of God's creation. We were the ones that he said, listen, I want you to have dominion over the world. I want you to subdue the earth. And I want you to rule over it and reign over it. And Adam, they're your responsibility. So Adam named all of the beasts, and he called them. He could walk up to them. And when you ain't got flesh and blood in your system, animals will come right up to your feet. Mm-hmm. They will come right up to your feet. And so many animals, they stay in my yard, you know what I mean? And they'll frighten the people because they can sense that. They sense that blood in them. They know that you want to eat them. And if you don't want to eat them, you'll have a murderous spirit toward them to the point to where you'll put out poison, you'll try to shoot them, you'll try to shoot BB guns at them, you'll do all this stuff. And the whole time, the animal, he's travailing in pain because he said, you were supposed to be my caretaker. You're supposed to make sure that we care for. You know what I mean?
Moses said it's one evil thing.
It was an evil thing. Wicked
I couldn't
vice.
get out of them.
Yeah.
What was that, Ark?
It was called Zabahim. That's the Hebrew word for sacrifice.
He couldn't get
They
that out.
learned how to sacrifice animals during their incubation period in Egypt. And he said, I couldn't get it out of them. He said, and so I had to permit them to do it. And what I did is I just changed the name of the Egyptian god they were sacrificing to, and I put Yahweh's name there. He said, and I allowed them to do it. He said, because this is for an appointed time. He said, but I'm sending you a prophecy that there's one that God gonna raise up, and he shall be like me. He gonna be a prophet. He said, and the people need to hear this prophet. He shall completely destroy and abolish this animal sacrifice thing. It said, and those that will not hear this prophet, their spirit shall be cut off from amongst the people. And so you wonder why we go to church, you wonder why we Allah Akbar, you wonder why we doing all this, but nothing changes in our community. Nothing changes our household. Nothing changes our children. You wonder why we wearing fringes, we wearing kufis, we got our bow ties and our Bibles on, but nothing changed. Soon as everything over, the Islamic man, he gonna go get his baked fish that God told you not to eat. The Christian man, he gonna go get his pork chops and hog mogs and chitlins and everything. And guess what? All of it's the worst.
Right. We
And
said
then
last
the
week, it's not
Hebrew
no work.
Israelite man, he gonna go get his steak and he gonna get his lamb and he gonna get all these things. And guess what? No situation is better. Everybody's still in the dark because you cannot be righteous. It's only pretension. You cannot be righteous. You touch dead things.
Because of this. If we want clarity, peace, and holiness in our spirit, what do we need to start putting on our plates? Peter didn't say it to control us. He said it to free us, to lift the veil off our eyes.
To lift the veil off your eyes. And that's Matthew chapter 58. Because in Matthew chapter 1, it tells you that the Messiah, his name shall be called Yahshua. He shall save his people from their sin. Well, his people didn't understand that the sin that they were committing, they needed to be saved for in two ways. They needed to be saved from death that was coming by the sickness, and they also needed to be saved from the actual sin that they were committing. Mm-hmm. So in Matthew 58, it says when he died, the veil of the temple was ripped from top to the bottom. That means that they had been released from animal sacrifice, and to not eat flesh and blood means that God removes the veil off your eyes that went on your eyes when Adam and Eve first fell into sin and ate from what they weren't supposed to eat from. So it caused the people to be free where they can see clearly. Many people will never see clearly because they will never be able to get past or line up with these scriptures. Yes, it's challenging. Nobody's saying that you're wrong. Nobody's being hard on people. Nobody's doing none of that. We're just simply exposing you to things that you never understood, things that we had never been taught about ourselves and where God's where God means for us to be. And so God said in the first book of the Bible, you can go and read it for yourself. I've given you all the trees and all the seeds and all the herbs. He told man and he told beast that. Both of them are flesh and blood. And so when we come back to that, he said, the day you eat these things that you ain't supposed to be eating from, you shall surely die. That means that you're going to lose God consciousness. And many of us have never had God's consciousness because we had never been exposed to God's word.
Right, right.
So what you do with God's word is going to determine whether or not you ever have God's consciousness. Don't tell nobody what they can do, what they can't do. And I don't try to make nobody feel bad for what they're doing, because as I said before, from the time we was 2 years old and had our first teeth, our parents were shoving animal's flesh in our mouth. And we have been living in that manner. We have been taught that this is a food source. But that scripture that you read, you've seen that God gave to all the fruits and the trees and the seeds, and to the human body, there is no other lawful sustenance. So rather than these things that we're consuming, flesh and blood, making us healthy, that's why they say when you don't eat it, it's called holistic living. Instead of these things making us healthy, they're making us sick. And then when we want to deal with the sickness,
we go to holistic healing.
Then we go, you see?
Y'all kids used to tell them, hey, stop waiting till you done got 15 treatments of what they do when you got cancer, chemo. He said, I can't save you after that. You know, when you got 15 treatments of chemo up in you, now you want to come to holistic healing.
Yes.
That's right, holistic healing, that's what they call it.
But when you get exposed to these things, it's like, nah, I can't do it. That's why I was telling you, you know, that the greatest addiction is never been drugs and alcohol, sex, none of those things. The greatest addiction is the consumption of animals' flesh and blood, because it tells you this is how lust and violence enters into the world.
That's how it enters into the world.
And if you can't control your appetite from the things that you eat, you sure ain't going to be able to control your sexuality.
Talk to him.
You're sure not going to be able to fight against nothing else. And I noticed a difference because, as I told you, is that I on purposely and intentionally took a nosedive because I wanted to eat me a a beef and a half from Gates.
On your birthday.
On my birthday after 5 years. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? As soon as you get that stuff in your body, you immediately notice the difference. But you already know. Yeah. So you say, God, be merciful to me. You know, let me get back up. I know I was out of bounds, but thank you. Your mercy's new every day. You spared me from that one. So, and I didn't get sick or nothing. I didn't get sick or nothing. You know what I'm saying? I knew I was wrong out the gate. You know what I mean? I didn't get sick or nothing. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you understand is that a lot of these things that get you.
Here's something funny. Tyrone, I promise, bro. This is why I stopped eating that shit. We used to drive over the road all the time, bro. This is why I do not revert back. I don't give a fuck what it is. All I can think about when we be out driving, we go way out, and we see them big-ass cows over there just eating grass with them big-ass heads. I could just imagine with them cutting his head off and splitting him down the middle, hanging him upside down for his guts and blood to come out. Man, I'm not eating that shit. Yeah. I told bro, I said, you know what I do? I go make me some plant-based meatballs and put me some Gates sauce on there. That'll knock that craving right off. Yeah. It's just the sauce.
Yeah, man, and that's how you know, like I said, people, the average person, they think they know what free will is, but they don't. And one of my big brothers, that was giving me our instruction coming out of from my elders in Israel, he was saying when he first challenged me not to eat, he said after about 2 weeks, you'll start hearing voices. He said, and then you'll understand. He said, and you'll understand, Elder Dimitri, that what free will is. He said, you have never used it because you have never understood what it was, and you've been taught that free will is your right to make a choice. He said, but you've never used it. And in 2 weeks, I was coming through, I think I was going to meet one of our brothers, over-the-road truck driver. Our Israelite brothers had came into town, and I was meeting him at the truck stop down on, what is that? Right down there by the casino where you get off at.
Front Street.
Yeah, Front Street. I was coming down that street, and on both sides of the street, they got all the fast food joints. And I could hear each one of them. I could hear the demons out of each one of them fast food joints.
Talking to you.
Talking to me. Man, it scared me to death, but I was prepared for it. He said, you're going to hear things. You're going to hear voices. He said, you'll hear voices trying to entice you to fall back, to try to entice you to come on in here. You know what I mean? He said, at that moment, you will understand what free will is, because now you have an opportunity to choose the voice of the Most High.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that was bad.
And that's real, too.
Yeah, man. Your spiritual senses awaken.
Yeah.
You see? So when your spiritual senses awaken, Solomon said that the wise man's eyes is in his head. So when your spiritual senses are awakened, you see things outside of the things that you see with these physical eyes. If you read in the scripture, you see the implication. You no longer see just the text that's written. You see the implication. You see the thing that the text is implying, even though it's not written with ink on paper. And you can go in there and pull out a whole host of things that can't be read because of what's there. You're seeing things that are not written, you know what I mean? So your eyes are being opened. It's their spiritual senses awakened, you know what I mean? And it's all real, you know? It just take people just have to stop for a minute and just hear. He that have ears, let him hear what the Spirit is saying. It's not your brother that's saying these things. It's what the Spirit is saying. The Spirit teaches a man God's word. The Spirit makes you understand God's righteousness. And the Spirit gives you the ability to expound on it and make it clear. But why the Spirit is doing that, it can only have an effect on people if their ears can hear. And you're not talking about your physical ears, because you got to hear with your heart if anything gonna change.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta hear with your heart, bro. That's facts.
Yeah, so what you think?
I'm like, talk to him. Look at him and talk to him.
Yeah, so it's what it is. So about 8 years ago, after I did that challenge, and while I was fighting those demons, there was a book that was dropped on my lap, The Gospel of the Holy 12. I had never seen it before. But man, it was the most profound thing I'd ever seen, because those demons I was fighting, dealing with the flesh and blood, when that book dropped, it showed me that the Messiah was born amongst the animals.
Yeah, come on, we know that from the children's stories.
He was born amongst.
I was one of the wise men when I was a kid at church. You know, we had a Christmas prayer every year, right?
Right.
I did learn this from going to church. I was a wise man.
Yeah.
So when we come there in Bethlehem, we had fake animals all around him. It was animals all around him. He was born in a manger with animals all around him, bro. He was born with animals. And you don't even trip off that.
No, you don't. See, listen, man.
Even a cat was there.
See, you got to understand, man, is that the animals were created before us.
They flocked to him. They was flocking
Man,
to him.
listen,
They knew he was coming.
they were in trouble. They were in trouble. He said the whole creation moaning and travailing in pain, waiting on the adoption of the sons of men. Waiting on men to be awakened again, because men, we were the caretakers of the animal, just like he was a care. When he came on the scene, the animals flocked to him because they said, hey, look, he's about to save our caretakers from the sin that they commit against us.
So would you say this? Would you say some animals are sinning by eating other animals? You got some animals that eat vegetables.
Well,
and fruit. No,
let's go here. That's what I'm telling you. You got to pull up Romans 8 chapter.
Pull it up, Bob. Pull it up. I can't hold it no more. Pull it up.
Let's go to Romans 8 chapter.
Get to that before we end it. Pull it up.
All right. Romans 8 chapter. This be good too, man, because a lot of our people in church, they fight real hard against these things, you know. They fight real hard against these things, but you go back to the nativity of John the Baptist and the Messiah. And when they was born, one of the things the angel told Mary, he said, first the angel told Elizabeth, because John came first, he said, he shall not eat flesh and blood, nor drink strong drink. He told Mary, he said, no razor shall come up on his head. He shall not eat flesh and blood, nor drink strong drinks. So from their births, they never did that. So let's pull this up. We're going to pull this up. Okay.
Bring it out.
Okay, so this is going to be Romans 8th chapter, and we're going to be dealing with, we're going to go from 18th verse, beginning. He said, for I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. And verse 19 comes and said, for the earnest expectation of the creature waits for the manifestation of the sons of God. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who had subjected him in the same hope, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of God. So when our brothers and sisters understand that this is challenging, they need to understand that the suffering of this present time not worthy to be compared with the glory that shall be revealed. When you can push that flesh meat away from your table, yeah, it's a level of suffering, because you got to back away from everything that you come. It's a form of fasting. But in the midst of that, what God brings out of you after that, it can't even be compared. Right. It make you say, I ain't never going back to that with what I got going now.
Yeah, it's smooth.
And he make you understand, he says, so he says, for the earnest expectation of the creature is waiting for the sons of man to manifest and for the sons to get back in charge. So you asking about the animals, the lion chasing the, the deers and all that, and the lion eating everything, the hyenas eating everything. Listen, for the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly. You see, because we were the caretakers of the animals, when we fell into sin,
vanity, but not willingly.
That it wasn't their desire, it wasn't their will to do it.
So
I wouldn't be surprised if the creatures in the garden was like, Adam, what are you doing?
They watching us,
what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? No, no, no. And when Adam fell into sin, because we were their caretakers, they became almost as bastard children. And they were made subject to the vanity unwillingly. It was against their will. He said, but they had been made subjected to vanity by the one who had subjected the same in hope. So even though they were made subject to vanity unwillingly, God has still instilled in the animals a hope. So they earnestly waiting based on the hope that God put in them. They waiting on the day that men will get that at least our people. Because see, the heathens, this is their way of life. And we have been adopted and bred into their way of life, but it's also the thing that keeps us in a captive place. It's also that keeps our mental state destroyed. He said, but the creature itself is waiting. And waiting on us to get back right. He said, boy, when I push that animal's flesh, that dead animal away from me. All the creatures is clapping. They having a ball.
We can walk right up to a lion.
Man, listen, let me tell you something, man. Listen,
I'm bite you.
Man, look, you see them dudes over there in Dubai and all them places that got these wild animals and all this stuff. You know what? I don't know if they raised them from birth and whatnot, but they're a different culture. They're not our people no way. So none of these things even apply to them. But they do apply to us.
Yeah.
And even in this life that we live in, we can see that thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can have you some dang out. Look out, there's hummingbirds in the yard. You know, I come out. I got a cat right now that's just sitting on my porch every day, waiting on something to eat. I'm like, man, if the Messiah send this cat, you don't live here. But I understand is that my love and care for animals, I'm a caretaker. This animal knows that because he can't sense that wickedness in me. He senses and sees me for who I am. A pregnant cat, no, I'm safe around here. I can come around here and I can have these babies and I'm going to get fed and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like you being a caretaker, I had my wife run out the house one day, Dimitri, don't you feed that raccoon? I said, listen, y'all don't understand, but see, everybody, even in your own house, you know, my wife don't eat like me, you know what I'm saying? So she still have that type of fear on her sometimes. She tries hard, you know, but I'm no tyrant, you know what I'm saying? And I got her covered anyway, because that's my rightful position as a caretaker. Take care of her and take care of the animals too, you know. Now, the book of Proverbs, I want you to read that. I want you to read that, and then we can cut up whenever you get ready. So I want you to read this, because I'm going to show you what real righteousness is.
Where we at, Proverbs?
Everybody think what righteousness is got something to do with what kind of they think it has something to do. That's going to be Proverbs 12th chapter, verse 10. They think righteousness have something to do with where I go to church on Sunday, or what mosque I'll go to, or what Israelite camp I belong to, or what kind of Kikamanashunga language I can speak. They think all these things are attached to righteousness, but righteousness is very simplistic. Coming back, only thing, what real righteousness is, when we come back to what God told us to eat on page 1, all of our righteousness come back to us. We don't have to be dealing with the hoops of, you got to keep the law, the statute, the commandment. All that stuff existed because of you not being able to control your appetite. You know what I mean? What it say?
Is this the right one? Proverbs 13:10?
Nope. You need to be Proverbs 12 and 10.
All right. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 10. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast.
And there are some other there are some other texts that.
But the tender mercy of the wicked are cruel.
Now read the other translation.
Whoever is righteous has regard for the life of his beast.
Read that one right there.
But the mercy of the wicked is cruel. A righteous man cares for his animal. Highlights the importance of compassion and care for an animal. A righteous man cares for his animal.
So it says that a righteous man, this is how you're going to know him. You're going to know the righteous man by how he cares for creation. Not by what Bible he read, by what church he go to, by what mosque he belong to. It's not going to be based on whether he say Allah Akbar. It's not going to be based on whether he can Yahweh Shai of all this Hebrew. It's not going to be based on none of that. He said a righteous man cares and have concern and passion for the Father's beast or the Father's animals. But the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. Okay, you know your Islamic brothers, what's kosher meats all about? Oh, well, we kill the animal a certain way. I don't care how tender you are when it comes to slicing the throat of an animal. It's cruel and it's wicked. You see? So there is a difference. You can't declare righteousness if you bring harm to one of God's creatures.
Yeah, because he said the only time you kill them if they great kill you.
Listen.
And he said try to do it fast with no harm.
That's what it said.
And he said get him quick.
That's written in.
Only if he's trying to kill you.
That's written.
You sent that to me.
Yep, that's written in a sin gospel of peace. You do not sin if you kill a beast who is threatening to kill you or kill your brother. But he who kills a beast, though the beast attack him not, whether you kill him for his hide, whether you kill him for his tusk, or whether you kill him for food, evil is the deed that you do. And he is turned into a wild beast himself. That's the Essene gospel.
You got to answer this for me before we get out of here. I'm feeling bad. What about when you got a guy like me who feed these homeless people animal flesh and I don't eat it?
Well, you know what? There's a level of hypocrisy there. And just the very fact that it's on your mind, and it was never going to be me that mentioned it to you. You understand? Because you where I'm at, you got keen senses and your spirit is wide awake to be able to receive that conviction when it's coming. And even while you out there doing it, the Spirit is convicting you about it.
I'm sitting there cooking that barbecue and putting it on Facebook and shit like, am I wrong for this? But they eat it. They hungry.
Remember when I told you?
They are hungry out here.
Remember when I told you I've been there and I've done that? I wouldn't tell you what not to do. Only thing you have to do is you have to respond to the conviction when the Spirit brings it to you. If you know that it's not right, find something else to feed them. It may be a little bit more expensive, but they wouldn't even know that they was eating a plant-based burger.
I promise you, when you eat that lasagna,
They wouldn't even know it. They can eat some smart dogs, because these smart dogs that they making you know what I'm saying?
They fire.
Listen, man, that's fire. They ketchup and mustard. And you can let them know, hey, you know what? It's what it is. If you're really hungry, you're going to eat what's set before you.
Let me tell you what I did before. I don't know if Tyrone was there or not. Was you at my birthday party up at Teresa's house one year? We went and did the golf across the street, and we went to her house and got cooked. I fed everybody. I turned that music down, said everybody get full, or Vine them all in the front. They shooting dice by now, and we in the kitchen. They down in the basement. We got Teresa a little apartment loaded. I turned that music down, said everybody get full. Oh, yeah, hell yeah, y'all like that? Boy, that shit was fine. I said everything was plant-based. I had a line.
They eat it if they know.
Boy, I had a line like, boy, that shit was so good. Where you get this from? Where you get this from? Where did you get this from? You mean to tell me them chicken tacos was plant-based? I said, boy, everything y'all ate was vegan.
See?
Or Vaughn crazy, but, it feel good to eat healthy sometimes. Well, nobody even mad, bro.
They're not
only did it because it was my party. Y'all know I'm vegan. Y'all don't ask. Well, y'all gonna eat what I eat. If y'all had asked, I'd have told y'all. But then nobody asked me. They were just eating meatballs and tacos and everything. Yeah, that's all vegan food.
That's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why it's so challenging for people. See, unless you're willing to go and see what's on the other side of the rock, you're left with purely what you think. The Bible tells you don't lean to your own understanding. If you allow yourself to be challenged and say, you know what, I challenged my brothers and sisters when we first brought these series of videos. I challenged them to a 14-day, no flesh and blood fast.
No death.
And then I would send them the different things that they had never knew. All of the things, all of the plant-based things that are available for us to eat.
Yeah.
They had never knew that.
Yeah, you get full
until
off
you
quick.
accept a challenge, and now okay, I got to have something to eat. And then you go look at it, and you like, oh, wait a minute. You mean to tell me, man, that dang on portobello mushroom with that dang on batter and stuff cooked up like a piece of chicken, man, that was good as... See,
it's a mushroom.
And the whole thing is that the greatest thing it is to get past is the texture of the food.
Of certain
because
things.
the taste buds can explode with the same flavor. Listen, after all, Satan deceived everybody by taking actual meat, which is what our seasoning is. Our spices and parsley and all those things, that's the meat. He take the meat and then he sprinkle it over flesh and blood.
Yeah,
and then call the animal a piece of meat.
Because this is what I tell the people. This is what I tell the people. Ain't no way your pig or your cow, each parts of its body gonna taste different. So this gonna taste like bologna, this gonna taste like hot dog, this gonna taste like a steak, this gonna taste like a pork chop. Quit it. It's the same injection that they inject into these mushrooms that we eat. The same injection that they put inside this tofu that we call chicken that just be a bunch of tofu, peanuts, and carrots and shit.
Produce the flavor.
It tastes exactly like what you can't. I can cook hot dogs out there, they be all vegan with nobody know they are at all, unless I told them. Just like they ate the meatballs with the Gates barbecue sauce on it and didn't know what they was eating. Mm-hmm. It's the seasoning.
Because what they eat now is not animal. It may have some small portions of animal in it.
We don't know what that is now.
But you go to McDonald's, you ain't eating no real hamburger.
Sure ain't.
You might as well be eating a vegan burger. At least you know it's gonna make you healthy.
At least you know what's in it.
This burger gonna give you cancer.
It's gonna kill you.
It's gonna make you sick. So it's what it is. So to brothers and sisters, if if you got a mind to hear, if you got experience in some of these things, colon cancer, clogged arteries, waxy substance in your ears. All these things come. Runny eyes, leaky eyes, boils, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. All of the sicknesses that people go to the hospital for come directly as a result of eating animal's flesh, which is flesh and blood.
Facts.
If you can get rid of the animal, man, we got brothers and sisters from all over the country, man, that say, look, I ain't got diabetes no more. I ain't got high blood pressure no more. I ain't got no blood pressure medication. Now, when they even though they take the plant and make and develop the medications with it, but they chemicalize many of those medications now to the point to where, you don't get the healing properties that you're supposed to. Now, have you ever noticed why they GMO and everything?
Right.
And they talking about trying to prevent the food from pesticides and all. No, what they're doing is they're extracting the healing properties from the food. Because the food is what makes us well.
Let thy plant be your medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Let thy leaf be your medicine.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's in the Bible.
Yep. It's all in there. So
let your leaf be your medicine, man.
Yeah. So it's all in there.
I hope y'all got something out of this, man. It's a good lesson today, man. Real good lesson. And it's coming straight out the holy books. Nothing made up, nothing coming out our mouth. You ain't agreeing with us, disagreeing with us. You disagreeing with the Messiah. Mm-hmm. You disagreeing with the book you believe in, because ain't none of this coming out of our mouth. We got on them phones. We read from books. Mm-hmm. We wasn't making nothing up. Everything came from books, man. Everything. And it all match up. All the violence on the streets and what we watch on TV, everything is just so destructive, man. And we chewing on this death. We becoming what we eat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We becoming what we eat. That was a good one, man. We got to stay woke, stay watching, and hopefully you stay plant-based. My dog here, my Ben Yahuda, a.k.a. Michi Meech, Dimitri Milligan. Y'all know who it is. Bless up, my king. Dino Lafayette, Podcast Dino, Midwest Dino, a man of many names. Until next time, yada da. We out. Bless up. Kiss them kids. Yada da.